How's it going, everyone? Tropical Cyclone 1000 today. It's July 31st, 2021, and today we're going to talk about the next potential tropical cyclone that could maybe form late next week in the main development region. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather icons. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather icons. So let's begin by taking a look at the current European model with a map of cyclonic representing cyclonic vorticity, and you see right now it's pretty much quiet all throughout the tropical Atlantic. There's not really a well-defined area of cyclonic vorticity. There isn't really a very well-defined low pressure system that does have a chance of developing in the near future. However, like I said, this could change into the long-term future, where maybe by next week we could maybe see tropical storm Fred or our next tropical cyclone. But again, there's a long-term forecast, so make sure to take all of this with a grain of salt. But in this channel, I want to outline every possibility that could occur regarding tropical cyclone development, so you guys will never be unprepared when it comes to the hurricane season. But let's begin by taking a look at the cyclone vorticity for the entire European for the next couple of days. And you see not a lot of vorticity. We do have a little bit of vorticity from this broad low pressure system moving through the main development region at this time, and the wind shear is quite strong in this area, so it isn't likely that we're going to see any sort of tropical development come out of this cyclonic vorticity or this broad low pressure system. So there isn't really a chance of development there. However, that could change if we go beyond the 5-day mark, because if we continue to move forward, there's going to be another tropical wave that comes off the western African coast, and this could maybe develop into something because we do have a decent amount of cyclonic vorticity, and you see that the European model is leaning on developing at least some sort of tropical cyclone or tropical storm in the very long-term future. But keep in mind, I'm going 240 hours out, so there's still a lot of uncertainty. But even if we go into a window that has a better probability of that is easier to forecast, let's say 8 days or 7 days from now, you see that there is still cyclone vorticity that the European model is trying to develop within the next 7 days or so, above 7 days, and this is definitely going to be something to watch over the next couple of days, especially once we get more confidence of what this tropical wave is going to set out to do and how the conditions will be over the main development region to determine if this will develop or not. If we were to take a look at the GFS model when it comes to the cyclone vorticity, the GFS model is also lenient on bringing some sort of cyclone vorticity in the main development region 180 hours out, and you see that even the GFS model is bringing quite strong vorticity, in fact, just off the west coast of Africa, and it could maybe do. However, I do not think this will be considered maybe a tropical cyclone because it's still like too early. Because sea surface temperatures in this region are still a little bit too cool for a tropical cyclone development to occur. However, we can't rule out that possibility as the GFS model is leaning on developing some sort of pretty strong tropical wave into maybe a tropical cyclone in the future, while the GFS model beyond the west coast of Africa doesn't really develop it much, and in fact weakens it as it heads further westward. It's still at least something to watch at. Both the two main reliable computer models, GFS and the European model, are taking some sort of cyclonic vorticity off the west coast of Africa at this time, and that's definitely going to be something we need to keep a close eye on over the next couple of days. So we definitely need to at least be aware of it in the mid-development region. In terms of the differences from yesterday's forecast I made regarding this potential tropical cyclone, it seems like the European now is persistent. I just want to make this video because it seems like now the European model is persisting on some sort of tropical cyclone development, and the GFS model is developing this tropical cyclone just off the coast of West Africa, which isn't something a European model did in the previous in its previous runs, and now it's at least bringing some sort of tropical cyclonic vorticity into the main development region, and that's definitely always something we need to be aware of. And the thing that will really determine if this tropical cyclone develops or not is the amount of wind shear in the region, because if we were to take a look at the wind shear right now, like I said, it's currently there's currently too much wind shear in the main development region for any sort of tropical cyclone development to occur. You see that the wind shear is quite strong, while the upper level winds are facing the same direction as the surface level winds. The winds in the upper levels are so much stronger than the winds you're seeing in the lower levels of the atmosphere, which is why there's so much wind shear in that region, which is inhibiting tropical cyclone development for the time being. However, that could change, because if we were to move forward, you see the wind shear moves a little bit further south. The wind shear further northward becomes a little lighter as a result of an upper level low that's currently just south of the equator. It's going to move further southward, weaken a little bit, and then you see that if we were headed into beyond the 5-day mark, the wind shear definitely begins to wind down. It isn't non-existent. There's still a light amount of wind shear, but it's nowhere near as strong as what we are experiencing right now. So depending on how much wind shear there is in the main development region at this time, we could see our next tropical cyclone by next week, and that's certainly something we need to keep a close eye on. Now, in terms of the relative humidity, that's another thing that's inhibiting tropical cyclone development, because currently there's a lot of Saharan dust in the main development region at this time, and that's creating trade wind inversion, where we're seeing the moist surface level air parcel move upwards in the atmosphere. But since the Saharan dust absorbs more heat than the surface level moisture, then that means that the moisture will sink down rather than rise up, because of course warmer air rises while cooler air sinks, and in this case the surface level moisture is cooler than the Saharan dust layer, and that's inhibiting lift in the atmosphere and convection overall throughout this low pressure system. So if we were to continue to move forward into the future, you see that the low pressure in the main development region is dealing with a lot of dry air, and if we were to continue to move forward, that maybe could change beyond the 7-day mark, where we do see just enough moisture around central circulation to fend off a lot of this dry air, and the dry air won't nearly be as suffocating as it was in the beginning, where you see the darker browns, which represent just very dry air and a lot of Saharan dust. And we need to wait and see how the Saharan dust layer reacts in the main development region by next week. However, I have a feeling that since we're entering the more active part of the hurricane season, we're entering August, I have a feeling that the Saharan dust will wind down in the main development region, and we will see a better chance of tropical cyclone development by next week. So we certainly need to keep a close eye on that as well. And based off of the GFS and the European model at this time, they're both at least bringing some sort of cyclonic vorticity that has a chance of developing into next week. So that's all we know. We don't know where this will go. We don't even know if this will develop into a tropical storm. There's still a lot of uncertainty making a forecast beyond the 7-day mark, so we just need to wait and see. But both of the computer models have been persisting with this, so it has a good possibility. So it might have at least some truth to it that this might happen in the future. Now, taking a look at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center, you see that over the next 5 days, no new tropical cyclones are expected, because like I said, there's a lot of wind shear currently over the main development region, and there's this big dominating ridge that's bringing a lot of Saharan dust further westward and pretty much swallowing up a lot of the Atlantic. But like I said, I think that there is a possibility that beyond the 5-day mark, we could see that Saharan dust go away, especially with the wind shears with the wind shear winding down and a more moist atmosphere moving into Africa during the month of August, which will limit the Saharan dust in the main development region. Now, another thing that might make conditions more favorable for tropical cyclone development, like I said in my last video, is a negative MJO pattern, which pretty much will promote more lift in the atmosphere, because you see, as of today, you see that a lot of the main development region isn't really in a positive or negative MJO. It's pretty much in a neutral. But you see, if we were to move into week 1, into week 2, a lot of the main development region and the tropical Atlantic will be under more in a negative MJO pattern, which will promote more lift in the atmosphere, and I think that should definitely promote more tropical cyclone development in the future. So even if a tropical cyclone does not necessarily develop in the main development region, who knows, we could see the next tropical cyclone late next week in the Caribbean, as there's certainly that possibility with a lot more lift in the atmosphere to promote convection. Now, taking a look at the Saharan dust, you see that if we remove the Sunday, you see that it's still swallowing up a lot of that Atlantic, but again, beyond the 7-day mark, I think that could change. So that's something we definitely need to keep a close eye on. And in terms of my area of concern late next week, I think it's going to be pretty much the entire main development region. And like I said, the European computer model is developing a tropical cyclone. And while it is a long-term forecast, the fact that the European model been persisting on this, it's at least really something to be aware of, because you do not want to underestimate when a computer model is persisting on a tropical cyclone ever in the hurricane season. So it is something we need to keep a close eye on over the next 7 days, and I'll update you once this forecast for this next tropical cyclone becomes more certain. But yeah, guys, like I said, that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys all have a great day.